Everybody does have a price. There are very few people that don't. You could start as high as Noriega in Panama, and you could go all the way down to city managers, to police departments. If somebody got pulled over and they had 50 kilos in the trunk, offer a bribe.
You know, maybe you couldn't bribe a cop with $20 or $50 or $100, but there were hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Tell them within an hour you'll have whatever it is that they want there in cash.
$500,000, $750,000.
But you got to leave with the coke, and most of the time it worked. I happen to know this lieutenant that worked in North Bay Village. Approached him one day and I said, listen, I want to unload some boats behind the North Bay Village Police Department. You think we got any problem doing that? Where he said, I'll tell you what, we'll have 2 patrol cars and we'll throw it in the back of the patrol cars and drive it wherever you want.
And they used to have standards. You couldn't ever have used drugs if you wanted to be a policeman. So they reduced it to you couldn't have used drugs in the last 10 years, and that didn't work. So they said, well, you couldn't have used drugs in the last 5 years, and they still couldn't recruit enough. So they said you couldn't have used drugs in the last 2 years, and finally it got to a point where if you're not under the influence of drugs at the moment, you're hired.
That resulted in the largest police corruption crisis since the Serpico days up in New York.
And the entire academy class from that year later on went to jail or died.
This makes a total of 3 Miami officers arrested over the weekend.
Today's arrest came as 7 other Miami officers went on trial accused of ripping off other cocaine dealers and for dealing drugs themselves.
The so-called cocaine cops have been charged with conspiracy, drug trafficking, and racketeering.
Tally shocking. 40 current or former Miami police officers arrested or suspended in the last 2 years, 16 suspended in just the last 2 weeks. And it is not over. At least 30 more Miami cops will be suspended.
The rule of law completely broke down in South Florida.
We might as well just not even come to work and just give the streets up.